Yes, people, UFC Fight Night. Ian Magado Garry, yes, Magado. I'm never going to say his name correctly because I just don't like the guy. But Ian Magado Garry versus Carlos Prates takes place this Saturday. I'm not going to break down the whole card because I think the most of the card is a shit show, absolute shit show. So I'll be honest, I'm gonna give my predictions for Ian and Carlos and maybe one or two other fights. So the first fight I will be predicting will be Mikel Pereira versus Abbas Magomedov. I'll be honest, I saw Sean Strickland absolutely beat up Abbas Magomedov, so I'm gonna go with Mikel Pereira. I feel like his awkward striking will be a little bit too much for Abbas to handle. However, if Abbas can stay composed and, figure out the awkwardness, he could potentially land a shot that puts Mikel in trouble, or he could potentially land shots that, end up winning him the fight. So I feel like for Abbas to get the win, he's probably going to have to be very good with the countering, etc., etc. I haven't seen much of either fighter. I've just seen all the crazy stuff that Mikel Pereira does. So I'm going to have to go with Mikel Pereira via decision. I don't think he will finish Abbas. Then we move on to be honest, there's a decent featherweight fight on here, which is Giga Chikadze. I'm still don't know how to say her name, versus David Onama. I saw David Onama's fight, but I can't really remember too much about him. But I can't lie, I'm going to stick with the brothers them, you know what I'm saying? Get me? Obviously, on MMA Guru's channel, they be calling, us black people YNs and that. I can't lie, I find it funny still. You man keep that up in the comment section. But I'm going to go with David Onama by decision. I believe he put on a good performance last time out, so I'm going to stick with the brothers them and pick him to win. We move on to Anthony Smith versus Zhang Mingyang. This is Anthony Smith's retirement fight, and I'm not being funny. It's a must win. If he loses, I'll be honest, guys, I've never even heard of this guy. Keep it real. Never heard of this guy. Let's actually look at his record. He is 16. He is 18-6. Hey, fucking hell, even Anthony Smith, your record is mad. 38-21, bro. Fucking hell, bro. But yeah, listen, I'm going to pick Anthony Smith to win this one. Lionheart Anthony Smith. I think he's going to... I'm not going to lie. If I was him, I would leave it all on the line. I would show them the reason why they call me Lionheart, because I'm yet to... From the fights I've seen, I'm yet to see why they call him Lionheart. Like, respect for getting in the cage and whatnot, but I don't see where the Lionheart is. You get me? But I'm going to pick Anthony Smith to win. I think he's probably going to try and go out on a bang. Even if he doesn't get a KO, he's probably going to try and put on a very, very good performance that people remember for. Not necessarily remember, but, he'll go out in a good way. So hopefully he gets the win. I'm going to pick him to get the win just because of the fact that if it's his retirement fight, and I feel like he has to put on a show for the fans, because that's also the co-main event. So yeah, man. Is it 5 rounds? I don't know if it's 5 rounds, but anyways, we move on to the main card. Main fight, main event. We have Ian Magado. I nearly said it right then, but I don't want to say it right. I'm saying it wrong on purpose. We have Ian Magado Garry versus Carlos Prates. I'm not going to lie, yeah? Quickly, this has got nothing to do with that man's fight. But is it just me, or does Carlos Prates look like he's actually meant to be black? I know that sounds tapped, guys, but when I look at him, I don't see a Brazilian. I know you have some black Brazilians, but you guys know what I mean. When I look at him, like with some of Carlos Prates' features, I think, fam, you look like you might have a bit of African or something in you. Like, he really doesn't look like... Yeah, he doesn't look Brazilian. But anyways, let's talk about the fight. Obviously, Carlos Prates was meant to fight Jeff Neal. I think Jeff Neal had to pull out due to injury. So now we have Ian versus Carlos, which is a good matchup. It's prospect. I would say Ian is the more seasoned prospect now. But they're both at similar stages in their career, if I'm completely honest. Ian is ranked, I think, number 7. Let's actually have a look, guys. Let's have a look. Welterweight. Okay, Ian is ranked number 7. I thought it was number 7, and I believe Carlos is 13. Yeah, Carlos Prates is ranked 13, and Ian is ranked number 7. So, listen, they're at similar stages of their career. Obviously, this is Carlos's second fight. Well, first fight after entering the rankings, so it's a big step up for him. Obviously, Ian's fought since he's been at number 7. I think this matchup is very interesting because we have 2 technical guys. One of them, I feel like, is a bit more technical than the other in the sense, and the person who I think is a bit more technical is Ian, in the sense of, how can I explain this? He's going to do what he needs to do to win, if that makes sense. Whereas Carlos Prates, in my opinion, from what I've seen, he's going to push for the finish. As much as he's very technical, to be completely honest, when it comes to the striking, I think he is as technical as Ian Garry. It's just I feel like Ian does what he needs to do, like, if that makes sense. Like, he's literally gonna go out there, jab, leg kick, keep his distance. He's not gonna push for a finish. Whereas Carlos Prates, I feel like, as much as he's calculated, technical, I think he's the one that's gonna push forward, try, as Demetrius Johnson would say, I think he's the one who's gonna try cross the void and, you know, land the shots in the void. I think Ian Garry is going to avoid that and try to keep on the outside of Prates. And for that reason, that's why I think it's going to be a very interesting matchup. I'm happy we're going to see striking. If there's anyone that's going to panic shoot, it's going to be Ian Garry. I do not see Carlos shooting for panic shooting. So that's good. We're going to see a stand and bang, essentially. I just feel like, because Carlos is going to push for the finish a bit more, as he backs Ian Garry up to, I feel like he's going to try and back Ian up against the cage. He's going to try and maybe land some knees to the body or maybe knees to the head. I think in this fight, the jab and the leg kicks are going to be very important. But with all of that being said, I think I'm going to have to go with Carlos Prates to get the job done by decision. Actually, but I'm saying that because what I'm worried about, you know what? If Carlos wins the first 3 rounds, he doesn't have to worry about the last 2 rounds. But I'm just worried with the amount of fucking cigarettes that guy smokes, man. Like, he's even said it himself. I'm sure I saw not too long ago. He said he doesn't like to go 5 rounds because something. I can't remember exactly what it was he said. But boy, like I said, he's the one who's going to push for the finish. So if there is anyone that's going to get a finish early, I'm going to have to go with Carlos. A lot of people think I'm underrating Ian Garry. It's not that at all. I'm just looking at the point of view of who's going to push for a finish. And I do believe Carlos Prates is going to push for the finish. If he hurts Ian Garry in the slightest way, he's going to be on the gas. But then again, it's going to be a very interesting fight because the IQ of both fighters is very good. The striking and technique of both fighters is very good. One way I could see Ian winning it, though, and this is my point when I say Ian, from what I've seen, Ian is the more, let me not even say technical anymore. I would say more strategic, because I feel like if Ian isn't having the best time with the stand-up, he's going to mix in the takedowns. I don't see Carlos mixing in any takedowns. So I think if Ian is going to get the job done, is because he's going to mix his striking in with the takedowns. He might not necessarily do much with the takedowns, but you know you get points for getting the takedown. So that's another way I could see the fight going. And obviously we haven't seen Carlos go 5 rounds. Ian went 5 rounds with Shavkat, I believe, when they fought. So we know he can do the 5 rounds. Carlos, I'm a bit worried about them cigarette lungs, man. But with that being said, those that know me, when I was, smoking the weed and, the ganja and that, like, I was still able to train, and that obviously I didn't have any fights, like, but my gas tap was surprisingly good. So we'll see. But these are little factors that could sway into why one or the other will win. But I'm going to go with Carlos Prates. I'm going to say this. The thing is, I can see Carlos finishing Ian, but where... You know what, guys? You know what? I'm gonna go gamble here, man. I do want to go with Carlos Prates by decision, but I'm gonna gamble, and I'm gonna say Carlos Prates gets the job done with a round 3 TKO, knees to the body. I think he's gonna cross the void, get some knees to the body. He'll probably get a knee to the body, then finish Ian with some punches to the head, and that's what I'm gonna say. I know some people are going to talk a lot of shit. Some people might even comment and say I'm crazy. I don't know what I'm talking about. But each to their own, man. But that's my predictions for the UFC fight night. Ian Magedo Garry versus Carlos Prates. And if you are seeing this video now, go and watch my latest video for the boxing that takes place this weekend as well, which is Chris Eubank Jr. versus Conor Benn. That video is out now, so like, comment, subscribe, all of that shit. But it's big yams, guys. Yeah, big yams. Hey, you guys, some of you will know why I'm doing this celebration, yeah, especially because of some recent antics that my football club have been keeping up, you know what I'm saying? So in a bit, guys, in a bit.